So dear students, in our last lecture we have seen stack and multiple stack, and in this lecture we will see queue. Now what is queue? Queue is also one type of data structure, but the advantage of queue is that we can insert the element from one end and we can delete the element from the another end. And that was the main problem in stack, that the insertion deletion end was same, and in queue it becomes easy because there are two ends for insertion and deletion. So what is queue? Queue is an ordered list in which all insertions can take place at one end, which is called as rear, and deletions can take place on the another end, that is called as front. Means queue is nothing but the order list in which one end is there for insertion, which is called as rear, and for deletion there is another one end, that is called as front. Now as there are two different ends for insertion and deletions, queue supports the FIFO policy or structure, that is first in first out. Means the element which will be inserted first will be the element will be removed from the particular queue. Means suppose we are having this particular example of queue. Push is used for inserting the element. As we are inserting the element for insertion, rear is used. So rear end is here, and this is your queue, means this is your order list. So we are deleting the elements from this, for that pop is used. So front is here from which we can delete the element. Now 41 was the first element which was inserted, and it is the first element which is taken out, and that's why it is called as the FIFO structure, that is first in first out structure. Now it is not compulsory that rear can be at right hand and front can be at left hand. We can reverse it also. Front can be at the left hand side, right hand side, and rear can be at the left hand side. But for insertion it is compulsory that rear should be used, and for deletion front should be used. So the best example in real life of queue is people waiting in line for bus. Now we can see whenever there is particular line, the person who is standing first will be the person who will be served first. So that is nothing but FIFO, that's why it is called as queue. So the functions for queue data structure, that is create queue, add IQ, delete queue, front queue, is empty queue. The functions are same as of stack, but the difference will be in the operational things. So create queue, whenever we are creating any data structure, we have seen that always we are creating the empty thing. So create queue means it creates the queue which is empty queue. Add IQ, it adds the element I to the rear end of queue, and we are getting the output as queue. So it is necessary to mention that the element is inserted by the rear end. So add IQ function is responsible for adding the element I to the rear end of queue. Now delete queue. As we have seen in stack also, we haven't said that it is delete IQ, because in stack also the element which is present at the top will be the element that will be removed. Same way, when we are saying in queue delete queue, so it deletes or removes the element from queue which is present at the front end of queue. So it removes the element which is present at front end of the queue. For that delete queue is used. Next is front queue. It returns element from front end of queue. For checking or for knowing the element which is present at this particular front end, and for that purpose front queue is used, which gives us the element which is present at the front end. The next one is empty queue. Is empty queue is used for checking our queue is empty or not. So it returns true if queue is empty, otherwise it returns false. So these are the basic functions that are used for the queue data structure. Now the next is the abstract data type which are used for queue. So whenever we are declaring queue, so the create function gives us the output queue. Whenever we are creating the queue, we are getting the output as a queue. Either it may be empty or later we are inserting the elements in that, but it is used for the creation of empty queue. The next function is add item queue. Now it will also give us the output queue because we are adding the item to the particular queue from the rear end. So the output we will get will be queue. The next is delete queue, means we are deleting the element from the front end, and what we will get? We will get the output as queue. So the element will be deleted from the front end and the output will be queue. Then front queue. Front queue gives us the output of item or element. Means front queue is responsible for giving us or providing us the element which is present at the front end. So it gives us the output of item or element. Then the next is empty queue. Empty queue gives us the boolean output. Means whenever we are using the empty queue, if it is empty we are having true value, if it is not empty then we are having false value. That means it gives us the boolean output. Now we have seen queue. Now what are the disadvantages of queue? By using queue it becomes easy for us because there is one end for insertion and another end for deletion, which is the most main advantage of queue. Now disadvantages of queue: we can delete from only front end and we can add only at the rear end. As it is mandatory to delete the element from front end and to insert the element from rear end, that is one of the disadvantage, that it is restricted for insertion and deletion. And if we use queue fully, after that if we delete elements from front end, then that places are null, but we can't utilize such places again. Means whenever we are deleting any particular element from queue, then that place is called as null, but we cannot reuse that space. So because of that, space wastage is done. And for this purpose, after deletion of element, move entire queue by one place towards deleted place, but this is not suitable for high size of queue. And for this, the best solution is circular queue. In our next session, we will see first multiple queue and later we will see circular queue, where the disadvantage of queue is overcome. Thank you.